All right, welcome. I'm Sean Michaelis with Michaelis Building Development. We're an award-winning home builder that's been in the industry for the last 10 years, specializing in custom homes, high-end luxury home remodels, and we've realized along the way that most people have never undergone an extensive renovation, let alone built a custom home before, and don't really know what the process is. So we're going to help walk you through that process of building a home today. Building your dream team. First things first, you'll need to select a dream team. Who is your dream team? So the dream team is made up of an architect, your designer, and your general contractor, and any consultants involved in the project. Those are the key players involved in the dream team. So what do each of these companies or firms do? The architect is really responsible for providing information in terms of the floor plans for the home. So when you think about floor plans, there's a site plan, which is a snapshot of the property and shows where certain buildings or items like your pool or where the garden should be located on the property. Then there's a floor plan. So you've seen blueprints before, but the floor plan is exactly that. It shows the layout of the home and the hallways, the bedrooms, the living room, and all of the rooms involved in the project. We also see elevations. Elevations are, if I'm standing here looking at a kitchen and there's a vent hood and there's a range and the visual of the room and the wall and what that looks like. Same thing goes for the outside of the home. All right, so if I'm standing at the street and I can see the front of the home, and what does it look like? This is the front elevation of the home. So again, the architect provides the site plans, the floor plans, the interior elevations, the exterior elevations, and there are many, many more things, but you get the idea. Things we'll walk through creating the initial vision of your home and the design program. The second firm is the design firm, and the design firm is really responsible for the organization of materials, finished materials that are going to be installed into the home. An example would be wood floors, paint, cabinetry styles, countertops, okay? And we call these finish schedules. So the design firm produces the finish schedule for the general contractor. So the general contractor knows exactly what is being installed into the room, the patterns and the materials, and the general contractor orders these materials. Again, it's the organization of the materials. The third firm, us, the general contractor. The general contractor is the doer. This is the company or person that makes this happen. So the general contractor has all the information, and now is time to get the doers to do the work. And that's what we do. The general contractor orchestrates all of the scheduling, the budgeting, the communication systems. Again, the general contractor makes it happen. There are other types of consultants as well, like a waterproofing consultant, home healthy consultants. You get the idea. Then there's also a homeowner's representative. This type of consultant either is a person, company that is a private representation for the client. So now we just talked about who the players are on the dream team. Now let's talk about how we're going to find your dream team. Selecting your architect. Okay, so let's talk about the levels of service that an architectural firm provides. And each architectural firm is set up differently. So this is actually a really, really important thing to pay attention to when you're interviewing your architects. It's also important to ask which types of service that they provide. And I'm going to walk you through what those are. You have the basic level of service, which is just that. It's basic. You have a set of floor plans, interior elevations, exterior elevations, and cut sections of the home. That set of plans is handed to the builder, and that's it. You have to run with it. That's what happens. You really need to understand there's a lot of assumptions in the set of plans and decisions that are going to be made based off what you see. Let's just say it's a 10-page document. There's a lot in between page 1 and page 2 that really needs to be figured out. And that will fall into the hands of us, the general contractor, or you as the client. So just know what you're purchasing up front. The next level up is limited service, and that's where an architect can be involved during the process, and there's typically a fee structure associated with that. It could be an hourly fee structure or a total fee structure, and that's a scenario where we have a set of plans, but there are questions along the way, and the details that need to be developed along the way, and you can tap into the architect so they can help you figure out these things as you're going through the construction process. And there's a full service that an architectural firm provides. And that full service starts from the very beginning, maybe even before you purchase the property, and then it ends when you move into the home. So in that structure, a design program is developed with the team, a set of plans developed, typically a very detailed set of plans of 20, 50, even 100-page document. So that's the set of plans that really digs into all the rabbit holes of the details and provides that information to the team during construction. And typically, there's weekly meetings on site with the GC design firm and the architect and consultants that may be involved in the project. From the very beginning to the very end, you have a full access to the firm. So when looking for the right architect for your job, you can ask friends for referrals, ask your designers, or even ask us, actually. We're going to be the ones diving into the information, and we need that. So we're going to be very critical about who we work with. So we need the information and need it quickly. So if you need any referrals in terms of architects, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to help. Selecting a designer. You found your architect. Now let's talk about how you're going to find your designer. So the role of the designer is to breathe life into your home. So the architect has a set of plans, the 2D imaging, and now need to set the tone of the home. And so there are paint colors, countertops, mirrors. I know I'm forgetting quite a few things, but feature lighting, and all of this creates life into the home. And then there's furnishings. All right, so we're going to talk about the 3 levels of service that the design firm can bring to you. So the first level of service is the selection service. So let's say you have a great feel for the home already, and you just need help narrowing down the certain selections like wood, floors, tile, countertops, painting, lighting, etc. And so let's just say you need help narrowing these things down. There are designers that work on an hourly rate and can help provide the assistance to you and really help you put together the vision that you already have. The second level of service is a holistic service. That's where the designer creates like a vision board for your home. So imagine that you're looking at a primary bathroom, and the vision board shows the countertop flow, the lighting, the flooring, and you have the board of the elements that will help be implemented into the room. That's a holistic approach to the design work. That happens for each room. So the way the designer brings value to the table is to organize all this information and distribute it into the general contractor. So this is what we call a finished schedule, which is an organized document either per room or per surface. So a room finish schedule will show you exactly what is happening in each room. The paint used on the walls, the ceiling, the trim, the cabinets. It will let us know what kind of countertops, the name, the finish of the countertops, the edge of the countertops, the tile, the pattern of the tile, the grout size. This is what we call finished schedule, and that's organized by the design firm. Okay, so now let's talk about a full service design firm. This firm is involved from the very beginning to the very end of the project and beyond. What I mean by that is that the design firm is involved in procurement of the furnishings. So that house is completed by your GC and it's time to move in. Well, the design firm has already worked through the entire process of purchasing your furniture, your art, your bedding, your accessories, your rugs. They worked through all of this with you. And so you're ready to move into the home. But the design firm says, wait, you can't move in yet. We're going to be here for about a week, maybe a week and a half. And this empty house is going to be fully furnished down to the smallest accessory. That's what I'm talking about with a full service design firm. So imagine the empty house, you move in, you're sleeping in there that night. Your sheets are washed, your rugs are placed. You literally wake up the next morning and you live your life. That's full service design. So make sure you're very clear when it comes to the level of service you want your design firm to offer, and then go start your search from there. Selecting your general contractor. There are 3 major things to think about. 1 is trust. The second is the ability to deliver. And the third is probably the most important. And that's whoever cares the most is your builder. So let's run through these things. The first thing, trust. We need to understand the 6 most critical priorities for your project. And they could be listed as your function, your quality, your aesthetics, your intrinsic value to you, cost, and your time. Those are the 6 critical priorities that need to be listed in order by you on your project. Next is the ability to deliver. Your general contractor's entire job is to collect a ton of information, prioritize that information, and then build your home in a very small increments, right? So they take lots and lots of information, we break it into little pieces, and the general contractor puts these little pieces together for you. So it literally is the ability to deliver on your vision. And the third one is whoever cares the most about you and your project, and delivering on a promise is your general contractor. So 5 things your general contractor must do, and these are the fundamentals. 1, systems. What systems does your general contractor practice on a daily basis? The 3 most important things that we've experienced would be budgeting, communication, and planning. These are highly important for your general contractor to practice. The second thing is communication. Bottom line is there needs to be communication during the process of construction. And the builder has a process for that. It would include something like a daily update or weekly update or an in-person update. So just find out what systems that your builder has in play so you can formulate that up front and consistently practice that through the duration of the build process. We tend to lean toward weekly updates depending on our client's needs. The third thing is trade base, the doers of the project. So about 60% of your budget is actually related to the installation of the home. So materials are a certain percentage, maybe 30, maybe 40% of the trade base is the other 60%. So it's really important to be very clear on the level of quality in the expectation. The builder's job is to align the quality with the doers and the resources. So once the doers are set up, we call that a trade base. Then we can execute on the vision of the plan. So now we know what we're executing. So that's a really important step to communicate that through. Expectations and aligning those with who are doing the work. The fourth thing is the reliability. The builder's job is to plan the work and implement the work, period. So there's a system for that. And it needs to be a consistent system that is communicated to you as a client. And the last thing is advocacy. Your builder's true job is to get inside your head as a client and understand how you're making decisions. And we've talked about the 6 critical priorities. The builder's job is to know what those 6 critical priorities are in your mind and make the decisions throughout the process based on that alignment. So again, we're an advocate for you that understands your goals and executes on those goals. So these 5 fundamentals are so important. If you don't have these in play, I promise you, you will run into issues like cost overruns, misalignment with your trades, miscommunication with one another, and flat out frustration. So avoid all of that and get these 5 fundamentals in play from the very beginning with your builder. All right, so now we know who the team players are. Let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, and that's budgets. We're going to open the curtain on how we put together budgets. Here's how it works. We're the builder, and we receive the set of plans from the architect, and in that set of the plans is what we call the pricing set. In the pricing set, there are allowances that are provided the designer. So an allowance for the appliances or an allowance for the plumbing fixtures, and that's all organized for us in advance. So the architect has the allowances plugged in, or cost per linear foot or cost per square foot. So let's say tile, okay? It could be $20 a square foot for tile. Well, actually, let me rewind a little bit. So we have an architect's set of plans, which is a pricing set. We have the designer's input in the allowances, right? So these are all listed, the allowances for certain items. Then we take a look at the pricing set, and there's also a category for specifications. And typically, specifications are something like modular brick or stone or exterior of the house. Or let's just talk about the roof, the composition shingle roof, or is it a slate roof or a metal roof? So the architects list the specifications used to price the home. So now we're going to look at our budget. And we have cost codes, and cost codes represent big line items for us. So line item 1 could be plans or permits. Line 2 is site work, and within these cost codes, we have details within each cost code that we're going to fill in. So let's run through the budget and talk about how we're going to put this budget together. All right, so if we have a set of plans, which is our pricing set, we have our allowances from the designers, and we have the specifications from the architect. We then send all of this information out to all of our trades. They are the people that are going to be doing the work, the doers. We also send this packet out to the material suppliers, our tile supplier, roofing supplier, etc. So this gets thrown out to everyone we need that's involved in the project. And we want their input for 2 reasons. 1, we need to know the price. And 2, these are the experts, and they're going to dig into the details and come back to us and say, hey, I noticed that the gutters didn't call for the type of gutter. Are they aluminum? Are they copper? Are they OG profile? Are they downspout square or are they round? So they're going to come back to us and say, hey, we need a little more detail. So then we go back to our architect and also our design team, and ask for the clarifications. So there is a process. We need to get the information. We analyze the information. We request more information. We then take that feedback and then fill in the blanks based on what our trades need from us. Okay, so now it's time to plug in all of the information into our budget, and that gets us a conceptual budget. It's conceptual because not all of the items we've priced out may be certain at this point of time. For example, the client may know they want a stone fireplace with a wood mantle, but the exact mantle hasn't been designed yet. So in a case like that, we need to go off of our historical data or have a craftsman bid it out based off the conceptual drawings. Another example, our first line is plans and permits. Well, we don't know how many copies of the plans we're going to need. We certainly have a pretty good idea, but maybe we're 50% sure on that number. Maybe the architect is going to supply all of those plans, and we're certain of that. Permit, well, we don't know the permit cost until we go through the pricing process. So we're going to plug it in historical data for now. So it is really important for the clients to know just because the number is plugged into the budget does not mean it is your budget. That means we have a lot of information that it either needs to be developed or we're good to go. Then we have water meters, builder's risk insurance, and these types of things we plug into that. The next is site work. What is site work? Site work is the movement of dirt. It's the demolition of the site itself. It is protection of the property. It's construction fencing around the property, street cleaning, all those details that who knows where we're going to land. So we use historical data and we plug it in for the best estimate for that. But every property is different. So again, it's an estimate. Dirt work, we just don't know. Weather controls that situation. So we may be 50% sure on that. I hope you're still following me. So now we're going into temporary facilities. What are they? Those are gas, water, and electricity. We may be 75% sure on those. Generally, if a home takes 2 years to build, we'll generally know how much the amount of electricity we're going to use. But again, only 75%, not 100% sure, because each custom home is different. All right, so now that the budget has been built, so we're going to huddle up with the architect, the designer, us as the builder, any consultants, and we're going to get around the table and go through all the different things. The first set of analysis that we run through as a builder is the budget component analysis. We look at all the categories of the budget and their costs. And what we want to see is the top 5 price drivers. If those price drivers align with the set of plans, specifications, with the allowances, then we're on track. So typically, those top 5 budget items are pretty glaring and obvious. And then we have another round of maybe 7, 8 outliers, and they make sense based on the plans. What we see typically at the top of the price drivers would be the windows, the doors, tile, hardwood floors, cabinetry, structural like foundation or framing, and possibly a roof. After that, it's typically plumbing and HVAC, electrical, etc. We want to see if anything sticks out as abnormal. So again, we're looking at the budget holistically and just identifying the patterns in the budget and making sure that they align with the plans and the allowances. Now, let's talk about trades again. Trades are usually account for 60% of the work, and there needs to be a very clear understanding of which trades are used to do what project. We grade them on a typical grading system: A+, A-, B+, B, B-, and so on. We as a team want to make sure that you fully understand who the A players are, if there are any B players, and why we've inserted them into the budget. If there are B players, we want you to fully understand why they're inserted to the budget, and if they're appropriate to plug in for your budget. So we do have conversations where homeowners ask us, we really need to be on a target budget. Is there anyone here in this trade base where we can get away with a B player? So again, this is not to be mean about anybody's work. It's just the analysis of the experience and the level of quality and workmanship. That's all it is. So maybe there's an opportunity to explore an A- trade or a B+, and where does that make sense? I'll tell you where it does not make sense in our world. Anything related to water, roof, plumbing, HVAC, anything related to electrical, that's a safety concern. That's important. Foundation, structure, highly important. So these are the categories where A+ is needed no matter what. If we were to consider a B category, maybe we look into Trim work, for an example. Maybe we are okay with installing a standard molding that can be cut on site. So that might be a good place for a B trade carpenter. In this stage, we can also do some value engineering, or VE. For instance, budget is coming in high, and you decide you don't really need inset baseboards throughout the home. You may decide to go with a standard trim package, which can save you thousands. Or you may eliminate the tongue and groove on the ceiling detail in the living room, or climate the swimming pool. There are several ways we can value engineer the budget to help it fit within your desired price range. So again, before we start construction, we want to ensure everyone on the team is aligned before we move forward by collaboratively planning and opening the discussion of financing up front. We can avoid surprises down the road and keep the home within budget. So now we have a good feel for the budget, and your team is off to the races, and everyone knows exactly what they're doing. Now let's talk about timeline and the stages of construction. But before we get into that, I want to briefly touch on the type of home that you are building, all right? So production homes are typically a set of 5 floor plans built in one neighborhood. So that home has been built hundreds of times by the builder. So that recipe has been developed, that budget has been developed, and really you know exactly what you're paying for because the builder has built it hundreds of times and knows exactly how many 2x4s are installed, how many plumbing fixtures are installed, etc. Then there's semi-custom home building, which takes a little bit longer. Again, you're talking about time frame. So that will take a little bit longer because it's basically a production with a few custom elements in the home. So a few little tweaks, but essentially 80% of the home is accounted for in the terms of the budget and timeline. Then we move on to custom homes. Custom homes are custom homes. This is a home that has been drafted by an architect, a designer is involved, and it has not been built before. So we increase our timeline because, yes, it is well planned in advance, and yes, we're figuring it out as we go. Now, another step is a highly detailed custom home. So it's a custom home, and now we're throwing a bunch of details into the home. So that means that the timeline will be increasing yet again. Say, for an example, you're building a bar out. The standard bar would be cabinets, countertops, and maybe some shelves. A detailed bar could be very different from that. It could be high gloss lacquered cabinetry, it could be steel doors and brass details and glass shelving that is backlit, and potentially even iron details at the top of the bar. Okay, so these are the highly detailed rooms. Again, because we have 6 or 7 trades, maybe 8 trades involved in one bar area, that time increases. Then we get into the everything home, the dream home. When I say everything home, I mean everything home. Every little detail is fleshed out before we even start construction. During the construction process, it's elaborated and details are developed, and it's an everything home. So again, the timeline increases. I just wanted to share with you how much timelines are very important and related to the type of home you're building. I hope this gives you a better understanding of the process of building your custom dream home. Do not hesitate to reach out, and please let us know if you have any more questions.